have the Z06. What a phenomenal day.
Hey guys, Eric with Eric's Garage AZ coming at you today again. We're at Barrett-Jackson auction, 50th anniversary auction here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I have an opportunity here to attend the media presentation of the 2023 Corvette C8 Z06 model. We're going to be having an opportunity to do a Q&A session with some panelists, and then afterwards we're going to be doing an exclusive Eric's Garage AZ YouTube video of this beautiful 2023 C8 Corvette Z06. Stick around for more.
Is there anybody here who would like to hear the Corvette start up?
Here.
And given that he put more miles on this car than anyone else, how about we have Oliver start it up
Stay
for us?
tuned for a cold start video in his Vette.
Hey, this is Kevin from Kindiga Design, and this is 2022 Barrett-Jackson. I'm here having a great time, but I'm going to take just 1 second and tell you to check out Eric's Garage AZ. I heard it's unbelievable.
We have the Z06. What a phenomenal day. Thank you, Chevrolet, for bringing these phenomenal cars. Let's give our panelists a round of applause just for being here today. We have some phenomenal speakers today. We have Craig Jackson, Chairman and CEO of Barrett-Jackson Auction Company. Harlan Charles, he is the Corvette Product Marketing Manager. Josh Holder, Corvette Vehicle Chief Engineer. Kai Spade, Bowling Green Plant Director, and Oliver Gavin, our Corvette Racing legend.
Nice.
If you look at this group, they cover literally everything you would want, from design, engineering, development, marketing, production, and of course, racing and competition. And the Z06 is all about that. My name's Scott Black. I'm a media contact for you. If you are interested in talking to somebody from General Motors, from Chevrolet, we will connect you with Trevor Tompkins. He can provide you with all kinds of information, and he can provide you with all the press information that you need. Of course, there's a lot of it on the press side. Now, all of you know that the Z06 was born in competition. In fact, if you look at Chevrolet is considered, I believe, the winningest racing company in American racing history, and the Chevrolet V8 has powered more winning race cars than any other car in history. The Z06 was actually born to race 70 years ago. And so we are very fortunate to be able to introduce those vehicles to you today. When we get finished, I'm going to take some questions from some of the press to answer, to let the panelists answer, and we will talk about some of the fabulous things going on. But to start off, we are very fortunate that one of the biggest admirers and biggest collectors of Corvette is hosting you today. You are standing in Craig Jackson's house. He has grown this community from just his family into all of you. So our first speaker, please welcome Craig Jackson.
Thank you very much. So I have a history with GM cars. My first car, not a Chevy, but was a 66 Pontiac Le Mans that I hopped up and blew up immediately and parked it. We were just in the Equidome looking at the fabulous Pontiac in there that is in the cup, and I'm going to resto mod it with the help of GM Performance, which led to my next car. My next car was a 1968 Corvette 427 T-top, and I hopped it up, blew it up 4 times, but that was because I'm tough on equipment, as my brother says, but I loved that car. I then bought a 67 Corvette, 435 horsepower Corvette, had that for a few decades, sold it, because I found a barn find 67 435 horsepower Corvette with all the options still in my collection. Between then, I bought my first muscle car when I sold on this property my Delahaye for $900,000, and I bought from the original owner, a 69 ZL1 Camaro Rally Sport, one of two, one of the 69 ZL1s, still have it today. Probably will never sell it. Buying it from the original owner with all the paperwork, and having Zora Duntov look at it and sign the car. I go back in this General Motors history. Then I bought a ZR1 when they first came out, and recently bought one of the last ZR1 front engine cars, and the first Z06 VIN 1 car the last year of the front engine, and then bought my C8. And now I am excited about what's coming next year with the Z06, with this 4-cam motor, where General Motors has gone. And I think this is a motor that can actually take my foot, because I love to rev cars, and I love the way that an aspirated motor with this flat plane crank. I am super excited about this, and the opportunity tomorrow night to make history again, like we did when we sold so many of the great General Motors Corvettes over the years, selling the last front engine car for charity for $2.7 million, selling the first C8 for $3 million. I think history is going to be made again tomorrow night. I love the look of this car. When we went to the launch at the hangars in Irvine, and the tie to the Apollo astronauts, which ironically we're selling Alan Shepard's Corvette from 1968, a 435 horsepower L89, which ironically he blew up right away and put a crate replacement engine in it in the day. These cars have history. They are tied to American performance, America's passion for racing, and they are truly Americana, and I love what the new team has done with the Corvette. And with that, I'll go sell used cars. Take it away, guys. I love what GM has done in our partnership with General Motors, and I'm so proud of the car they built.
Thank you, Craig. And you mentioned once one of your favorite moments was President Bush being here to sell a Corvette.
Yes, President Bush selling the Carbon Series 65 and having him up on the auction block. There have been so many moments. You know, having John Force here too, so many times. Always a great personality, and having Mr. H down there, sitting there buying so many of these cars over the years. Mr. Ledbetter, hopefully you keep that tradition up. But I think he's going to have some competition, because his first Z06 is quite a car.
So we're very fortunate not only get to do this in Craig's house, but we have Harlan Charles with us. Now, Harlan has been called the Corvette guy. I know a lot of us want to be the Corvette guy, but you really are the Corvette guy. You know, you started your dream job with Corvette in 2001, and you're not just any marketing guy. I think you actually have a mechanical engineering degree also. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
So, you know, as the Corvette guy, tell us about the Z06 and what makes it special, a little bit about the history.
Yeah, so the Corvette has a great history, and Z06 is a big part of that. In 1963, Z06 was an option code. They sold 199 of them, and it was kind of, almost a secret thing that Zora Arcastundo created, that if you were serious about taking your Corvette racing, that gave you all the parts that you needed to go racing. But then it was dormant for a while. We brought it back as its own model in the 5th generation Corvette in 2001, and quickly it became to be our showcase for bringing racing technology to the street car. So when we went in 2006, we had an all aluminum frame or carbon fiber parts. In the 7th generation in 2015, we opened it up to open air body styles, because Z06 became so popular. People wanted a convertible version, things like that. But now we've hit 2023, and coming off of the fantastic 8th generation mid-engine architecture, able to create, you know, a supercar that can compete with the best in the world and win. So if you look at the car, some of the design features you'll see it has its own unique fenders, quarters, and front and rear fascias. It's the most changes we've done from the standard Stingray in the history of the Z06. And the reason those wider wheels and tires. So the wheels are an inch bigger in diameter, 20s and 21s in the back. And the tires are 30 millimeters wider in the front, 40 in the back. Actually, the rear is a 345 width on a 21 by 13 inch wheel. So very impressive. And we have both aluminum wheels and carbon fiber for the first time.
Thank you. Now, I thought when I was reading your bio, you had the coolest job in the world, till I started reading about Josh Holder. Now, when we were all kids, right, didn't we all start sketching Corvettes, and then we all started building model Corvettes and all dreamed of creating them? So Josh, you get to engineer, and you are the guy responsible for these cars. I mean, you have the dream job, and you even have to go to racing worldwide, to races like Le Mans, places like that, to check out the cars. So Harlan talked a little bit about the cars. Can you give us, I mean, he gave us that marketing overview, right? But you're the technical guy. Tell us what makes this car so special.
Well, thanks, God. I really do, like Harlan, have my dream job. All of us on Team Corvette have our dream job, and there's thousands of very talented men and women in Michigan, and even working here in Arizona this time of year, in Bowling Green, all working very hard to bring this car to you, and we're super proud of this ultimate Corvette, the Z06. You know, Harlan talked about the legacy of 70 years of Corvette, and that's never lost on any of us. So when we set out to do something as extreme and as much of a change as the 2020 Stingray was, the all-new mid-engine Corvette, we did that knowing we were going to do the Z06. It wasn't an afterthought. It's planned from the beginning with our design studio, the way we engineer the super stiff, lightweight body structure to handle extreme loads that the Z06 can provide with the wide tires and wheels. All Corvettes are open roof. Even the coupe that you see behind us here, you can take the roof out of the car. Of course, the convertible top, hard top folds down. So we designed the body structure to be open roof. And it's common with both cars. So super efficient, super light, extremely stiff, and the stiffness of the body structure actually helps ride performance. So you might think a car is capable as the Z06 behind us here. Harlan mentioned 1.22 Gs of lateral cornering capability. That would be a very punishing car to drive every day, and that's not the case. It's really quite a comfortable ride. It's actually relatively quiet inside when you want it to be. We did a whole lot to isolate the sounds you don't want to hear from the passenger compartment and emphasize the sounds you do. Harlan mentioned the center exhaust system. We started out with a much different exhaust system, and we knew the mission of this Z06, that we wanted to get back to our naturally aspirated roots, and a big part of that, the aura of a naturally aspirated engine is the way it sounds and the way it responds. And the exhaust note was so important to us that we made a significant change very late in the development of the car to get that just right. In fact, those center exhausts have a sort of reverse parabolic shape that helps send that exhaust note right back up to your ear. So when you're on the throttle and you're hearing that 8,600 RPM of flat plane crank titanium connecting rod fury, you get that visceral experience that this car really is all about. And we spend a lot of time proving its durability, especially on the racetrack.
Are you looking at Craig when you said that?
I think not even Craig could blow this car up. So,
well, that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, we drive thousands of miles. We do lots and lots of track durability testing. In fact, we have a proof test of 24 hours of track durability testing, and as Ollie can tell you, that's a punishment to man and machine. And so this car is all about pure performance. We're super proud of it, and a lot of people worked really hard to bring it out.
So we're really lucky because Josh, you get to design and create this car. Kai obviously builds them. Harlan ends up marketing them to everyone, and Craig makes sure they get into the hands of real enthusiasts. But I'm sorry, guys, you do not have the greatest job in the world. Because we have Oliver Gavin here. Oliver, I think you are the winningest driver in Corvette history. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. I've got 51 victories with Corvette Racing, and I've been very fortunate to drive 4 generations of Corvette and race 4 generations of Corvette.
Yeah, because when I was doing all of my research, I had to do reams and reams of paper. I mean, 5 American Le Mans Series Class Championships, 5 wins at the 24-hour Le Mans. I've been 4 times to it, but you've won it 5 times. 5 12 hours of Sebring class wins, 5 Petit Le Mans. You won the Triple Crown in 2002. You have the greatest job in the entire world.
I am very lucky, I have to say. I am very, very lucky.
So you've been involved with so many Corvettes. Can you talk to us a little bit about your involvement and relationship with this car, both on the track and how it relates to what these guys are going to get to drive?
Well, two days really stand out in my mind with my experience with Corvette Racing, particularly relating to this car. One was the very first day I drove the C8R at Road America, and the other was the first day I drove the Z06 with the ZO7 package at the Nurburgring on the Nordschleife. And when I drove the race car for the first time, the way that the car connected with you as a driver, the feedback it gave you, all of those signals that you're looking for, it was a step forward from the C7R. We knew that everything that we were doing in that car, the way that the car rotated around you as you turned the wheel, it was just giving you all of those right signals. Then I fast forward to jumping into the Z06 at the Nurburgring. I jump in the workshop there, the Nurburgring GM facility, fire the car up. The noise that you were getting from the flat plane crank V8, the quad exhaust, the way that it's that tone, that note, and then you flick it over into the drive mode, into track mode, and that growl that you get. And I drove it out of the test center and up the road. This was just on the road, going up to the racetrack, and the way that the car rode and almost like bounced on the tire, it just gave me all of those triggers, all of those signals that I got from the race car. So I'm sitting there thinking, all the hair standing up on the back of my neck, and I'm thinking, they have ticked all the boxes here for me as a race car driver. So then you go, wow, what are people going to get? What are customers going to get when they get into this car? So then I got out onto the Nurburgring, the Nordschleife. I started turning the first couple of corners. It had got the carbon rims on it, so that saving of 41 pounds of unsprung weight. You could feel that. You could feel the way that the car was turning, the way that the car was so agile, responsive, the way that the car accelerated through the gears at 8,600 RPM each time, just pulling and pulling and pulling. You know, it just, to me, it was that fantastic experience, that way that it just ticked all the boxes, and it gave me all of the signals that I was picking up from the race car. So for me, that was phenomenal. You know, so when I'd driven the car at the Nurburgring, I came back, sat down with the engineers, Alex and Aaron, Link, and all the other guys that work with Josh and Taj, and you know, I'm talking through the car, and then, as I'm sitting there talking in the office, you're hearing the sister cars out there on track going by, and you're hearing that growl as they're going by on the Dottinger at the Nürburgring, and it's so unique. Again, it just makes all the hair stand on the back of your neck. You know, you're thinking, this is super cool. I'm here. There's all kinds of other cars on the track at the same time there during what's called industry pool, but no, not one of them sounded anything like the Corvette, and that's, I think, such a key thing. Grabbing and keeping that Corvette sort of brand and that feel and that noise. It's super important to have carried that over through all the generations. And I've been fortunate enough to race 4 of those generations of Corvette, but by far, this is the highest performance car I've ever driven, competed in. You know, it swept everything before it was competing against in the IMSA Championship and in the GTLM class. It actually drove all of the competition away. Ford went away, BMW started to go away, Porsche went away. You know, Corvette basically beat them all off. And so now it's had to move class into GTD Pro to compete against all of those brands again. But you know, it just shows you the might of what Josh and all the guys here have managed to put together with this machine is that it's going to win. It's going to win again for sure this year, and it's just a question of time on which race it's going to win at. But it's going to be going back to the Le Mans 24 Hours, and I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see the cars out on track there again, because that's such a special race, and you know, it's been a real key part of the Corvette racing program, and seeing all those different generations of car compete there and win there. And that's what's super important, is to keep on winning, and this car has got win all over it.
So Harlan, I want to geek out for a minute. You said 21-inch wheels on the rear. That's a first for the Corvette, right?
I gotta open up. Excuse me, I gotta go. We're going live on TV in a few minutes. I am captivated by this, though. This is good stuff. I was supposed to just open and leave, but I wanted to stay here. Impressive car. Congratulations, General Motors.
Oliver, are you available to give him some driving coaching lessons?
Absolutely.
Let's go out to Apex and beat on one.
I think you got a deal.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you, Craig, for being here. So 21-inch wheels on the rear for the first time with the Corvette, and I think they're the widest carbon fiber wheels in the world on a production car.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Well, you know, obviously, it's all about performance, making the tires wider, and the width gives us that high G capability we talked about as well. And then when you go to the width, you want to have the diameter too, for the proportion of the car. It really fills the wheel wells to go to 20s and 21s. It's been a general trend in history. You know, some people may remember, you know, we're talking about auction cars, like on the 4th generation Corvette, we had 16s and then 17s, which was unheard of to have wheels that big. Now those are, you know, base level wheels on economy cars. So now we have to go to 20s and 21s, but it really gives the car a presence, and of course supports these wider performance tires, Michelin PS2s and Cup tires as well, which we have what we call the ZO7 performance package, and that gives you those cup tires. It opens up the carbon fiber wheel availability that Oliver talked about.
That's the one you want.
That's the one you want. And the downforce, 734 pounds of downforce at 180 miles an hour. So you have kind of the ultimate track car. And again, like Josh said, you know, even with these wider wheels and tires, the car, I mean, we just did 2 full days driving around this great state here in Arizona with our early Z06 cars, and it was fabulous. Just a great ride. Not only fun, but very comfortable. Of course, you get the best combination. You can get the race car experience when you want to. You can cruise on the highway when you want to by the mode selector. And then you see the curvy road, you hit the Z button on the steering wheel. It turns everything up to 11, and you're ready to have fun.
That's super cool, that button. I love that button.
That's the fun button, right? So Josh, this 5.5 liter V8 is amazing. Can you share a little more? At 8,600 RPM, that's like what, 2,000 more than the Stingray?
Yeah, that's right. And this engine is basically a race engine. If you were to disassemble it and look at some of the parts, it's like it came out of a race car. I mentioned the titanium connecting rods. The cylinder heads are CNC machines, so the combustion chambers, the ports, everything about it, it looks like it's off a race car, and in this case it is, because you know, we share with the race team. That technology transfer is not just a slogan, it's reality for us on Team Corvette. We spent a lot of time with the race team, and we literally shared parts with each other through the course of development on this engine and this car. And for the first time, really, we were able to, you know, take an engine that makes 670 horsepower, and Harlan was talking about the size of the tire and wheel, and that's not just for looks. It provides this massive contact patch with the, you know, rear bias center of gravity that the mid-engine architecture gives us, and now for the first time we can really connect that kind of power and performance to the road, and it gives you that driving experience that Eli was talking about.
So it seems like this car has everything in the world except that $1 million price point that some of those other guys had. Name some of the cars that you did benchmark for your performance.
Oh, we really want to be the best in the world. So we benchmark, of course, you know, the ones you'd imagine: Porsche, Ferrari, you know, the best from Europe, and people probably have seen some of those cars on our rides. We do that, and the thing that we're really proud of with this car is the, like we talked about, is the nature of it, where you can have the fun maybe of the Porsche GT2 performance, but that car is really a one trick. You know, it's designed hardcore. Where the way we've designed the Corvette, we really want people to drive it everywhere, drive it all year round if you want, drive it wherever you want to go, drive it to work, go to the grocery store, and then take it to the track. It really is we wanted to make a sports car that can do a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't, like Harlan said, we don't just benchmark one single car and go after everything about it. You know, certain competitors do some things well. We want to do everything well and in our own way. So we don't necessarily chase the competition. We like to say we set the bar for the rest of the competition, but we certainly look in on what others do.
Now, I've been asking all the questions, so if we have a member of the press, we'll talk about the car, technical things like that. Is there anybody here, a member of the media? Tom?
I have a question. I notice you're not wearing a conventional credential like the rest of us. What you got your eye on?
Good eye and bad on me for not taking this off. Like a lot of us on Team Corvette, Kai, myself, Harlan, we are Corvette owners. We're enthusiasts. We interact with our customers. We like to say we're the most accessible car team in the world. And so, as a Corvette fan, yesterday my wife and I bid and won a 65 Resto mod. So,
Very good.
What do you think of the Resto mod, this big wave of that?
Well, I think it's awesome. It's a little off topic for what we're talking about here, but I could go on and on about old Corvettes and the Corvette hobby. But yeah, it's a cool the industry. There's so much passion around Corvette. You know, it's not just about the car. It's about the people, the interaction that brings people together from all walks of life. And there's hobbies within the hobby, and Resto Mod is one of those that's super exciting and growing pretty fast.
As a follow-up question, do you channel the spirit of Duntov when you're working on cars like these?
Yeah, I think all of us on Team Corvette channel the spirit of Zorro when we're working on Corvettes.
Oh, absolutely. We even had these wristbands that said, "What would Zorro do?"
Yeah, so if we ever had anyone wondering what the right thing for the car to do, not the right thing for your metrics or whatever your selfish interest is, but what's the best thing for the car, that served as a reminder.
Thank you.
Do we have any other journalists that have another question? Yes.
Being a race fan, I appreciate you being here. I'm just curious to know, last year you had some championship drivers, championship team. Are there going to be any changes made to the team coming up that's going to drive this new car?
In terms of driver lineup, I think that's pretty stable on the 3 car and the 63 car. I think the 4 car, the 64 car, will I think have one change at Daytona. I think that Alexander Sims can't compete in the car, can't compete at the Daytona 24 Hours, which is actually this weekend. He's going to be starting tomorrow. Marco Sorensen, a Danish driver, is going to fill in for him. He was world champion for Aston Martin. So, you know, Corvette Racing, they have, over many, many years, had a philosophy with their drivers, and they've looked at the brands that they're racing against, or the teams that they're racing against, and their best driver, they basically go and steal him away. And so I was driving for Celine when I was racing against Corvette, and they stole me away from Celine, and then they did the similar thing with Tommy Milner, where he was driving for BMW. Antonio Garcia was driving for Aston Martin, stole him away. Jan Magnussen for Ferrari. You know, Nick Tandy, who's replaced me at Corvette Racing, he was one of Porsche's top drivers, and he's been stolen away from. So, you know, it's a way of, you know, weakening the opposition somewhat and strengthening Corvette Racing. And so they've done a great thing with getting Marco in the team, and I think that they've got a a very, very strong driver lineup there, the Daytona 24 Hours and for the rest of the year. So I'm looking forward to see how they all perform, and I've got my eyes on them, and you know, I wanted them to win.
We like to help the drivers who don't have a good car to drive and upgrade them.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Now, I'm a little hurt though, because when I went to Le Mans, I was driving a Toyota Yaris around and nobody plugged me in for the team, so.
Yeah, sorry about that, yeah.
Yeah, but I understand you have retired, so does that mean at Le Mans something any of us could apply for that job?
No, sorry, that's all taken.
I'm telling you, I had a manual with the Yaris. You would be amazed with the laps that I could do.
Maybe we can get out on the track later and show me your skills.
Yeah, I'll show you. Do we have another journalist with any other questions? So we have a really big question. We have an important question. Sean, if you can help us with this. Is there anybody here who would like to hear the Corvette start up?
Right here.
And given that he put more miles on this car than anyone else, how about we have Oliver start it up
Stay
for us?
tuned for a cold start video in his Vette.
Doesn't that sound fantastic?
What did you think about that, folks?
That is the
Pretty
sound
awesome,
of a
wasn't
winner.
it?
Wouldn't you guys say? So let's give our panelists a round of applause. We're so pleased they're here. If you are a member of the media and would like to come see us, we have Corvette hats for the journalists. So step up, and we would love to do that.
This way, please.
This way, please.
I love that.
I'm going to get the ZO6 in the background. There we go.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the last video. I hand selected a couple videos for you to watch right now. Click here.